Alright everybody, welcome back to the channel. We are back again with the Dodge Dakota. So, changing out the brakes and rotors, and if you have a first gen Dakota, you'll know that the rotor is actually the lug studs, which is actually like the hub assembly basically. So you end up having to pop off the cap, take off the cotter pin, take off the spindle nut, washer, outer bearings, and then inner bearings and seal. So I just got done doing this. I would pull it all off and show you, but obviously it's a hell of a mess because you have to re-grease everything when you're in there, both front and back, and then clean off the spindle, so everything's all fresh and clean. Now obviously the rotors, I have to spray these down still with brake clean because they probably still have that anti-corrosive or anti-rust like oil on them from when they get them brand new. But just try to give you guys a little quick tips here if you're gonna do this on your Dodge Dakota. Now, when there is not really any torque specs on the actual nut, so what you want to do is obviously you can spin the rotor, you can spin it. Now when you're tightening this nut down that's back behind this cap, which here, I'll pop it off and show you guys. I'm just using literally a little bar. You can pry up against it, pop off the cap, move around, don't focus on one spot or you're gonna dent the cap. You could use a flathead too if you had a big enough flathead, but the one I had wasn't doing it, so I had to go a little bit bigger. I think I should be able to pop it off now. Give a little whack. Now that thing is still not wanting to come off. It's almost, I could feel it about to pop off. So, when you're going to do this though, while I'm trying to pop this cap off for you guys, keep in mind that when you get up behind it, so obviously I lubed everything up and I have it packed full of grease. So you have, try to get it in here, so you'll have the cotter pin here, you'll have the castle nut, you'll have the main nut behind the castle nut, and then you'll have a washer in your bearings. Most new rotors come with races already pressed into the rotor itself, so it already has the front and back race already in them. If you did somehow get a rotor that doesn't, which is pretty odd nowadays because they try to make it as simple as possible, these are the ones that I got from Advanced. Let you guys see the part number. This is going to be a CarQuest wherever, and it would be YH141578, and I picked these up at Advanced. Each rotor was about 104 bucks, so keep that in mind. 104. While I was in here, my old caliper, take it in here with all these grease rags, the old caliper was starting to seize up, so I ended up swapping calipers out. The calipers from Advance are actually pretty cheap. I was gonna go on Rock Auto and order it, but Advance had it for basically the same price, so it's 64 bucks for the caliper itself, but it's a $30 cord charge, so I'll get 30 bucks back when I take that back, so it's really only like $34 per caliper, which is not bad at all. It comes with the new copper washers, comes with a new top bolt, so new top bolt, banjo bolts. I would inspect the rubber line while you're in here, make sure it's still good. This one's still all right. It was a little questionable up top here, but it's a lot of it's just surface rust. So far it's holding up good. The rubber looks good on it, so I'm just gonna leave that alone because that was probably replaced somewhat recently. I didn't bleed the brakes yet, so if you're gonna do that, it's easier to do it with two people. Just have somebody sit inside the car, have them stomp on the brake pedal, don't let off. You crack open the bleeder screw, which is right there, and then before you lock it back up, once all the pressure's out, you lock it back up, and then you tell them to let the pedal go, and then you just do that as many times until it's a steady stream of brake fluid coming out of that bleeder. Whatever you do, don't leave that screw open and let somebody that's inside let off that brake pedal, because you'll suck air back into the system and depending on how bad that gets, that would suck. They make one-person bleeder kits, which I have. Basically, it just works off of so there's like a couple different kinds. There's a vacuum pump style. There's I've seen like electric motor ones where they literally just draw the brake fluid straight through, kind of like drinking like fluid out of a cup with a straw. It's that kind of concept. So it's a steady stream where it sucks everything out at once. And then there's another kind which is basically like a it's set up like the vacuum pump, but you have a container that has liquid in it, and there's a rubber hose that runs through it, and the rubber hose attaches to the top of the fitting for the can't even think of the name of the damn thing now, the bleeder valve. So it attaches to the bleeder valve, runs into the container that's like a sealed container with a venom top, and then the liquid actually stops air from passing back up through. That's the one I use, so it's super easy because it's a lot easier if you're going to do it by yourself versus have somebody wait in there for you and then, you know, do all this and then wait for them and so on and so forth. But, so, just wanted to give you guys some quick tips. When you pack it full of grease, make sure you clean out all the other grease. Like, obviously the new rotor is going to be clean. So the setup on this, like I was saying, with no torque specs on it, what you want to do is you want to tighten that nut. So obviously the cotter pin won't be on, the castle nut won't be on, so it'll just be the bearing, the washer, and the main nut. So what you want to do is you want to pack it full, obviously pack everything full of grease, make sure the bearings are in there, make sure the back race is packed with grease, the bearings packed with grease, and then make sure you put the seal back on it, which is literally, you can pull that out, the old one out with the screwdriver, and then tap it back in gently in a circle motion with a hammer, preferably a rubber hammer. If you can't get them back out, just buy another one. They're really not that expensive. Make sure you clean the spindle off, for one. There's a lot of crap back there behind the rotor, so clean the spindle off. But like I said, to get this tight without the torque specs, what you're going to want to do is you're going to take an adjustable, like I have, an adjustable, and slowly tighten it up and spin it while you tighten it. Spin it while you tighten it, and then it'll get to the point where it starts to slow down or get tough to spin on its own. That's when you want to back it off about 1/8, maybe 2/8, 3/8, because it only has to be a little bit overhand tight for this thing to stay on, because you have the the castle nut, the cotter pin, so it's not going to go anywhere. It's not going to try to back off. But when you're tightening it up, once it starts to slow down and like basically start like resisting you on your spins, you want to back it off about 1/8 turn, 2/8, maybe 3/8 of a turn, but that's kind of pushing it. That's pretty far. Just enough so it spins freely, maybe has like very minimal drag to it. But you don't want to have to like force this thing to spin. Like this thing, I can just smack it and it spins. So that would be the biggest tip for this. It's really not that hard. To give you guys a price estimate, I called yesterday. I called a place around me called Monroe Muffler. I'm not sure how widespread that is across the states, but so Monroe Muffler quoted me for the front rotors and pads, and to lube up the caliper assemblies and and pads and all that good stuff. They wanted $550 to do all that. A packet of high temp grease for the brake pads and the caliper, that's like 70 cents. The rotor is $100 and that's $30. Half the time you can reuse the bearings. And the grease I got a whole tube of grease, which I'll show you guys in a second, that way you guys know which grease I'm using. So altogether, all in all, if you do it yourself, I've spent, let's just say $100 to make it easy. 100. The brakes were 30, so 200, 230, and then once I get the core charges back, these will be 68. So basically $300. So I just saved $200 just to sit here and do this and repack this grease back in, and then obviously re-lube this, maybe clean up the specs a little bit. But yeah, so if you're gonna do that, go ahead. It's not that hard. And that was with me doing new calipers. So if you didn't do new calipers, that would obviously save you about $68, $70. So just rotors and pads, super simple. Now to get the old ones off, I've seen mixed things in the Dakota groups actually about how some run the Allen key setup. The ones I just took off actually had a 10mm bolt in the back. So yeah, I'm not sure about that. Like I said, I was using 10mm for the old one. This one's an Allen key. But it's just your standard stuff. I'm using, let's see, it's all back here in the back. Here's the grease for anybody. Looks like it blew out the bottom. That's great. That's the grease I'm using. It's just some Fram grease. It was like $6. This is the size for the new calipers. It's going to be a size 7 Allen key. But yeah, so get back into, so if you're looking for the calipers like I'm using, which are on this, so this would be passenger side. The rotors are interchangeable between both sides because they're the same part number. The passenger side caliper is going to be from, once again, good old CarQuest, wherever's. It is going to be 184364. So this one is passenger side. Go back here in the back. Back here, we got the driver's side. I had to mark it with the D so I remember. This one is 184365. So 184365 is the driver's side caliper. And like I was saying, the rotors are the same. The pads, I'm not sure where I put that box, honestly. I threw it in one of these trash cans. The pads are going to be, once again, CarQuest wherever's, GMK D593A, and these are the semi-metallics. But hopefully those little tips help you guys out a little bit. Like I said, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this all back up. When you put the pads in, obviously the one with the ears goes on the outside. The one with the prongs goes on the inside. So the prongs inside, ears outside. But that's going to be it for this video. Figured I should chime in while I'm doing this a while. I'll let you guys know how it feels afterwards. See how the whole, I guess, CarQuest brake setup goes. But yeah, that's going to be it. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and ask me down in the comments below. Like I said, adjustable wrench for that. Spin it while you tighten it and spin it. Once it starts to get tight, back it off about 1/8 to 2/8 of a turn, and then drop the castle nut on and drop the carter pin in. And then remember, bend both ears in separate directions, and then go ahead and put a little bit more grease on and pop the cap on. Like the cap just goes on, just tapped on. It's like a hammer or something, just gentle. And yeah, I'm gonna get through here. If you have any questions, like I said, drop it in the comments. Besides that, if you want to see more videos on the Dakota, let me know. And I'm gonna go ahead and link everything down in my description as well. So if you guys are looking for individual pieces for your Dakotas, you can go ahead and find them there. But if you like the videos, go ahead and leave a like. If you're not already, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, because I got more videos on the Dirty Dodge coming ahead. And if it's helpful enough, go ahead and share the content. I'm trying to grow the channel to be a little bit bigger. But besides that, thanks guys. Stay tuned for more videos.